Kruger, knowing a little of something a little. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another comically long review. As you probably know, we are smack in the middle of celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Power Rangers franchise. Well, near the end of it, but anyway. And many fans of the franchise have cited the Boom Studios Power Rangers comics and the Shattered Grid storyline specifically as perhaps the best celebration of that anniversary. However, Boom Studios still felt the need to acknowledge that anniversary directly, and that's what we're taking a look at today. So, let's open up the Boom Studios Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 25th Anniversary Special. So, even though this is technically a Boom Studios issue number 1, though I don't think we're going to get a second issue of this 25th Anniversary Special, so I'm not sure why they needed an issue number, but I see that a lot in comics actually. We only got 3 covers. The main cover is just a celebration of the Zordon era with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers front and center, but representatives of Zeo, Turbo, and In Space in the sky over them. It's a nice cover, though Jason is apparently channeling He-Man. The first alternate cover is the original team with the Green Ranger standing in front of the command center. It's nice poster material, but I think there's a little too much negative space, sky, above the command center. The other is a pretty cool shot of the Season 2 and 3 MMPR, the 5 Rangers in slashes in the background, and the White Ranger leaping forward on the center. I don't usually comment on the back cover because comics don't always have back covers. More often than not, it's just an ad. But this one has a back cover, and it features a beautiful blue and white drawing of the Thunder Megazord. Anyway, there are 5 stories in this special, with no real promise this time that they're going to relate to anything. No, nothing here is related to Shattered Grid, these are just fun little asides. We start with Pet Project, which interestingly enough was created by a brother and sister team, with Jessica Quinones, and sorry if I'm butchering that, writing, and her brother Joe doing the illustration. It starts a little suddenly and kind of confusingly. Scorpina enters the Moon Palace announcing she's found something. "It's been a while, Scorpina. Zed will be pleased to know you're back." I was hoping he would be here to see this.
Sir not appearing in this film.
So what Scorpina has found is apparently the last remnants of the power-draining candle that was used on Tommy. I kind of thought Goldar used the last of that candle to forge the ones they tried to use on the other Rangers. She says they could only fashion a small disc from it, so maybe it wasn't even part of the candle, it was just the plate that was on the bottom or something. Despite the show saying that the candle worked because Tommy had already touched it, Scorpina says all they have to do is get Tommy to touch it. Rita starts formulating a plan, seeing that the Rangers are at some kind of animal adoption drive. She snatches Scorpina's pet worm, and this is another continuity hiccup. That worm, Weave Worm, was destroyed by the Rangers during Season 1. The mention of Zed places this story very firmly in Season 2. Now, I suppose she could have just gotten another one. That may be what she was coming back from. But a mention of that might have been nice. Something like, "No, not my pet worm. I've only just gotten this one trained after the Rangers destroyed the first one." Anyway, Rita turns the worm into a dog and makes the disc a charm on its collar. "Now, with the energy emitted from the dragon paw, Tommy won't be able to resist." I can see that you've placed a paw imprint on the disc somehow, but that doesn't make the charm a paw. Tommy gets to the youth center and we see Kim and Billy. That makes it hard at first to place when this took place, besides the previous details, but in this frame we can see very small drawings of Aisha and Adam, even though Adam has a line. Anyway, Tommy sees the dog and the spell starts taking hold, but Bulk and Skull claim the doggo first, with Bulk naming it Bubba. Rita is frustrated, as is the dog, and tells Scorpina to fix it. She goes down with a squad of putties and attacks Bulk and Skull, walking Bubba while eating hot dogs, giving us 3 dogs out for a walk, and "Ah, my dog," with Bulk meaning Bubba and Skull meaning his hot dog. The two run into Tommy and explain what happened. He tells them to run and goes to call the others, but Scorpina zaps his communicator. You know, the comics seem to use the attack the communicator thing a good bit, and it's actually really smart. He morphs, the morph showing off just how much I'm not really fond of this art style, though in researching the hand placement, because it looked off to me, it actually wasn't, and it became very clear this was drawn directly off of the show, almost like it was traced. But while the hand placement was accurate, you know what wasn't accurate? I didn't notice this myself, but someone mentioned it on Ranger Wikia. That's the dragon coin in Tommy's morpher. Oops! I do, however, like how they actually had Tommy wearing a white tank top, so that matched his stock morphing sequence. Tommy once again shows his odd propensity to get overwhelmed by putties, especially funny considering that he proved himself to Rita twice by beating a squad of putties. Immediately after Tommy morphs, he's held by the putties. Scorpina holds up Bubba and has him lick Tommy, which turns him into the Black Ranger. Funny enough, this is the one point where this special does actually sort of acknowledge Shattered Grid, but don't worry, it's not any kind of a spoiler, just a weird little reference to Lord Draken. Finster says, "The Green Ranger energy seems to have mixed with the White Ranger power, supercharging him." Huh. The plan having totally backfired, Rita just decides to make Bubba grow. Not a really good plan, as all indications are that Bubba really is just a dog, or at least just a worm. The worm was probably more threatening as Weave Worm. Bubba growing also makes the disc more prominent, which I figured would make the draw on Tommy stronger, but maybe the supercharged power counteracted that anyway. Tommy summons the Tiger Zord and the two get into a cat versus dog tug of war. With the dog distracted, Tommy jumps over and slashes the charm, which somehow shrinks the dog but doesn't destroy it anyway. The other Rangers randomly show up, just striking a pose and saying random things. Seriously, Kim is literally doing her high flyer pose while talking. That night, Tommy has returned Bubba to Bulk when an old woman approaches them. She says the dog's name is Charlie and is her best friend, even showing them a picture. Tommy tells a crestfallen Bulk that clearly this dog belongs to this woman, and he tearfully hands him over. Scorpina tells her pet that she'll get Rita to reverse the spell, though he is kind of cute this way. It seems pretty clear that the intent of this story was to just write an episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 2, but it wasn't an engaging story, it was just one of the filler episodes. It just feels like it's too by the numbers. The Rangers are doing an activism and charity thing. That activism and charity thing gives Rita an idea, and she puts her plan in motion with a monster that she uses to magic and whatever, even though certain aspects of that plan don't make any sense, and since this is Season 2, it is far less likely that Rita would act without Lord Zed, wherever the heck he was. The monster is just a dog, and that's it, just a dog. There was really nothing engaging or dangerous or entertaining about it. It was just a Monster of the Week type filler episode. Pet Project gets a 2 out of 5. Moving to the second story, Golden Ideas, it really demonstrates an issue that I kind of sarcastically referred to last week, that I'm starting to have with Boom's compilation issues especially. Transitions. They don't put their title information at the front of the comic, they put it at the back of the comic, and if the two stories happen to have similar art styles, you can't even really tell that one story has ended and another story begins. I was all set to complain about this in just a nitpicky way, since the first story just says end, and then we cut to Lord Zed complaining, which makes it easy to miss the word end and think the first story just continues. I ended up thinking that this story was called Sealed because Pet Project is listed on the top left, so I thought the second story might be on the top right. But when I thought about the story, Seal didn't make any sense to be the title. After that, it got really complicated figuring out which story this was. This story is in fact Golden Ideas, which is listed on the bottom right. Geez, can we please get an in-order table of contents if we're not going to have title frames? Okay, enough nitpicking complaining, onto the story itself. This story also seems to take place during Season 2. Kind of weird that we're not celebrating Season 1 in a 25th anniversary edition. And like I said, we've managed to track down Lord Zed. Maybe this is actually just the next episode after Pet Project. Like I said, Zed is complaining about the Rangers spoiling his plans, which you could confuse for being about the last story. Yes, it wasn't exactly his plan, but maybe Zed gave Rita the idea. Goldar makes what's really a helpful suggestion, saying maybe they should try divide and conquer. Lord Zed has an incredibly unhelpful response, saying that if Goldar wants to question his leadership, maybe he can just go fight the Rangers. Right now! Fail me and suffer the consequences. We then see the Thunder Megazord killing the Easter Bunny. Okay, maybe not the Easter Bunny, this thing has 4 arms, but knowing Zed, he probably transformed a chocolate bunny for Easter into that thing. The panel placement is a little bit off too. It seems like that panel is there to say something I always say when a villain drops the fail me and suffer the consequences thing. Failing to defeat the Rangers usually results in death anyway. However, we started with Zed complaining about another failure, but then this seems to happen after that. Is this another monster Zed happened to send? Or was he complaining about a failure that hadn't happened yet? Maybe that's it. The Thunder Megazord started charging up its saber, and he kind of pulled the equivalent of leaving a baseball game with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th when you're down 5 runs. We cut to the juice bar where the Rangers are loudly celebrating their victory and basically announcing to the entire room that we're the Power Rangers. Hey everybody, we're the Rangers that just beat that monster, don't we rock? Maybe that guy in Jurassic Park was right.
Dodgson! Dodgson! We've got Dodgson here! See, nobody cares.
Kimberly says an advantage of Zed over Rita, which places this before the wedding and means this actually takes place before Pet Project, so much for the next episode thing, is not having to hear, "Make my monster growl!" every week. Nice little reference there. Aisha doesn't understand the reference. Kim explains it, and the 3 longer-standing Rangers start reminiscing, making her feel left out. Later, at Billy's garage, this story takes a left at the corner of huh and what? Aisha has dragged Adam to Billy's house and is in his garage using his equipment. And no, Billy's not there.
What are you doing in my house?
Adam doesn't see a need to impress the other Rangers, but Aisha explains, saying that Trini was a brilliant engineer. She was? I don't remember that from the show. Sure, she helped Billy with the Zords and stuff, but being ultra smart wasn't her deal. And that Zach was the heart of the team. It gets weirder as she says that Rocky and Tommy are best buddies, leaving just the 2 of them as the odd ones out. Again, I never got that vibe from the show. In fact, as late as Zeo, Rocky felt like he had to prove himself to everyone, including Tommy.
Wait a second. This is my chance to prove myself. It's morphin' time!
Adam rightly feels like Zordon trusts them, and the team trusts Zordon, so this is fine. Aisha admits she might be stressing over nothing, you think, but still thinks if she can finish Billy's experiment, it will prove that Zordon made the right choice. If they finish Billy's experiment. If they finish Billy's experiment. If they finish Billy's... What?
Your words cause me curious mind pain. I feel an urgent need to make you stop somehow.
You know what finishing Billy's experiment should do if Billy's a proper scientist? Piss him off. Doing an experiment is about observation, actually doing the steps and seeing what happens. Anyway, Adam says this still doesn't make any sense, but she's his friend and he'll help her. Goldar is flying around meanwhile, following that divide and conquer strategy. Since the Rangers weren't at the Juice Dojo, They're probably apart and he can pick them off. Okay, sure. He lands on the roof of Billy's house and says the black and yellow Rangers are alone and ripe for attack. He says this while looking at the rad bug, and the two Rangers are not even in frame. He jumps down. I guess, really, he just appears in front of the garage. Aisha does think logically enough to know that morphing and fighting in front of all of these chemicals and Bunsen burner fires and stuff probably isn't a fantastic idea, telling Adam to grab the ionized samples and get to the rad bug. They fly off, Adam telling her to land in a clearing nearby while he calls for help, but Goldar lands on top of the car and wow, are his proportions off. Goldar's trading card lists him as just 6 feet tall. I'd give him a touch more than that, maybe 7 or 8 feet tall. But the way he lands on the car here suggests he's easily like 10 or 15 feet tall. He's huge. Well, maybe Zed made him grow already. No, wait, as the Rangers morph and leave the car, Zed fires his staff down to make Goldar grow. Something he only did when he was teamed with Rita. On his own, he used growth grenades. Sheesh. Apparently, they don't have time to summon the Zords, which doesn't make any sense either, but the show has used that one itself before.
Let's call in the Zords! There's no time for that.
So, Adam suggests using Billy's experiment, and on the next page, we see the results of said experiment. It made the Rangers grow. And their weapons grow. I'm a little bit confused as to how it would make them grow biologically and also make their non-biological weapons bigger, but that might be something I'm thinking a little too hard about. The Rangers knock Goldar around a bit, and Adam uses his Blade Blaster, using its little-known water gun ability. They apparently now have time to call their Zords, threatening to have him deal with 2 Thunder Zords and 2 Zord-sized Rangers all at once. Anyway, Zed takes the choice out of his hands, recalling the overgrown cat. Goldar is a monkey, not a cat. Wizard of Oz motif with the Jew Ranger villains, remember? I mean, I know you weren't there, Zed, but still. Aisha wonders how to explain the wrecked Radbug to Billy, and we see that the other Rangers have been watching this the whole time in the command center. Billy says he was planning to remake the Radbug soon anyway. Kim and Tommy think the new kids did alright, and Rocky thinks this viewing globe thing is the best TV ever! I still don't get why Rocky wouldn't have been involved with the other two in this story. Golden Ideas, whose title doesn't even really make sense actually, Gold for Goldar I guess, and Ideas for the Growth Potion, makes even less sense than Pet Project. Its premise is just flawed. There was something to go on with the fact that the 3 new Rangers could feel a bit isolated from the 3 veteran Rangers. Linkara pointed out how the 2 groups would hang out apart at first before they slowly melded. But excluding Rocky from that makes this feel really weird, almost like kind of a dual focus episode. Aisha breaks into Billy's house to finish an experiment he was working on with no indication that she would be able to finish it, and then the 2 of them use an untested growth potion on themselves because we don't have time to call the Zords. I'm sorry, but this one was bad. Golden Ideas gets a 1 out of 5. Kudos to this issue for realizing something that a lot of folks haven't actually. Celebrating the 25th anniversary of Power Rangers doesn't just mean, wow, Mighty Morphin was 25 years ago. It means that Power Rangers has been on the air for 25 years, and every single season is a part of that celebration. So now we get a Mystic Force story, The Sweetest of Dreams. We see Leonbo basically in hell. Lots of fire, he's chained up, and being held prisoner by Korag. Very symbolic, I like it. Udana appears, reaching out for her husband, before she suddenly wakes up from the nightmare. She sees it as symbolic, and apparently contacts the Mystic Mother for a tarot card reading. I saw someone point out something kind of interesting here. If this takes place more than 19 years ago, which seems pretty likely, the Mystic Mother would have still been Rita Repulsa. Mystic Rita deals the cards, and in something that borders between cute reference and outrightly obvious, The cards are the Mermaid, the Sprite, the Garuda, the Minotaur, and the Phoenix, aka the 5 mystical creatures that theme the Mystic Force Power Rangers. The Sprite and Garuda define Udana, wanting to hide from sight, but also needing to rescue someone, as the Garuda picks up a knight from battle. The next pair, the Minotaur and the Mermaid, define the problem. The Mermaid is at rest, but the Minotaur guards the maze. Something is being held captive, while Udana is at rest. The last card, the outcome, is a Phoenix. Udana jumps to conclusions, saying she's the Phoenix, but Mother Repulsa says she didn't say that. Udana says she's going to make herself the Phoenix, but Mother Rita says she can't bend fate to her will, not even with a stolen Xenotome. Interesting little plot thread there that Udana stole the Xenotome. It's not followed up on, and from my memories of Mystic Force, that was never addressed during the show. Udana insists that if Lianbo is alive, she's going to try a rescue. Seeing her determination, Madame M-Hat over here says she will help with her greater knowledge of the book. The two of them astrally project, though when they get there, Mama Lady says she can't protect Udana there and leaves her there alone.
Excuse me, what?
She finds Lianbo chained up just as she saw in her dream, but with a lot less fire. I actually really love this part, as she says she knew he was alive, but then questions if it's him. Are you Lianbo? Lianbo, my husband. Only my Lianbo can like that. Someone points out that Lianbo can't hear him. Who that somebody is might explain why. You see, it's Korag. In the dream, this made sense. It was symbolic. But, and I'm sorry, I guess, for the spoiler here for anyone who hasn't seen Mystic Force, but I mean, really, it's 12 years old now and on Netflix, so get to watching it. But, yeah, Lianbo is Korag, corrupted by the Master, fusing his Mystic Knight form with evil purple magic. So, this seems to be Lianbo's mind, his soul. It's not reality, that's for sure. It's not my concern. Let us see about that. Galwit Misto Ranger! Always good to see you, Donamorph. It would be better if the writer remembered or realized that the Rangers, including Udana, say Magical Source Mystic Force, and it's mysterious Sky narrator that says Galwit Misto Ranger.
Magical source, Mystic Force! White, Mystic Ranger!
Korag is entirely unimpressed, telling her she should just leave. She attacks, and he just smashes her in the face with his shield without even turning to look. She's not deterred, saying she'll keep fighting, and he smacks her with his sword, cracking her visor open. Loses a little something considering that this is happening astrally, so how does glass shatter astrally, but it's still cool. She won't give up, which earns Korag's respect, and it turns into his whole thing about not defeating an opponent unless it's an honorable whatever, so he literally just says, so let's talk. He tells her that Lianbo is dead and she can't free him. She's alive, so she can either go live her life or be bound in her own chains of regret and etc., etc. She returns from the astral plane, and her memory of the incident fades away because her knowing that Lianbo is alive does not connect with Mystic Force's canon. It just gives her the determination to set forth on a plan, creating the Mystic Force Power Rangers. So, this is the best story in the special thus far, but it has that thing going on where it's a pretty neat story until you take more than a second to think about it. What happens in this story? Udana has a dream that Lianbo is alive. She gets the Mystic Mother to help her visit something, finds him imprisoned by the creature that he is. They have a quick fight where she gets smacked around, he kicks her out, and she forgets the whole thing. There's no substance to this story. It's a decent character piece for Udana, making it also kind of a touching tribute to the late Peter Rutter, but the memory loss makes the story basically undo itself. Besides, if she forgot the trip back to the astral plane, isn't she right back where she started? The nightmare and wanting to know if it was true? So all in all, this story was kind of like a tasty key lime meringue. Really good and enjoyable, but a little too airy and fluffy and just not enough substance to it. The Sweetest of Dreams gets a 3 out of 5. Next time on a comically long review. Alright, fine. Let's take a look at Sealed, a Super Ninja Steel story. We can give this anniversary special one thing: it ends pretty strong. Let's take a look at the final story, The Trial of Astronema. I think I'm giving this thing just a... As you probably know, we are in the anniversary of the dancing of the squids, the buggers, and the mammal squid. The last remnants of the power draining can opener. The power draining can opener. The plan totally backfired, and even that's confusing. I ended up thinking the bim. Anyway, Goldar makes what's really an Goldar makes what's a really actually helpful suggestion, maybe say... The panel placement is actually a little off too. It seems like that panel is there to say something I always say when a villain drops and fails the global dragon. Kimberly says an advantage of Zed over Rita, which places this before the wedding and meaning this takes place before Pet Project, is... yeah, I'm gonna do that again. Later, at Billy's garage, Aisha wonders how to explain the car to Billy, and we see that the... Rocky, actually. Screw it. Aisha wonders how we can explain... Aisha wonders how she should... oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Donna jumps to conclusions. Someone points out that Leonbo can't hear him. Who that somebody... I'm sorry. Yeah. It would be better if the writer remembered that the Rangers say magical giggly goggly google. Korag is entirely unimpressed, telling her she should just leave. He attacks and... Korag is entirely unimpressed, telling her she should just leave. She attacks and he attacks. Korag is entirely unimpressed, telling her she should just leave. He attacks... Fuck! So all in all, the story has a score that I forgot to say.